Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there lived a humble farmer and his only son. They weren't rich, but they were happy with their simple life. They owned a small piece of land where they grew crops, and most importantly, they had a strong, beautiful horse that helped with the farm work. But one day, disaster struck. The farmer woke up to find that their only horse had broken through the fence and run away into the hills. The horse was their most valuable possession. Without it, plowing the fields and carrying goods would be nearly impossible. The farmer's son was heartbroken, fearing what this meant for their future. When the neighbors heard the news, they came by to offer their sympathy. "What terrible luck you've had," they said, shaking their heads. "Losing your only horse is a huge misfortune." But the farmer, known for his calm and wise nature, simply smiled and said, "Maybe." The villagers were puzzled. How could he be so calm? Shouldn't he be upset? The son, too, couldn't understand his father's reaction. A week passed. The farmer and his son struggled without the horse, doing all the hard work by hand. The villagers continued to pity them. Then one morning, something unexpected happened. The farmer's son saw movement in the distance. At first he thought he was imagining things, but as the figures came closer, he gasped in amazement. Their horse had returned, and it wasn't alone. It had brought a wild stallion with it, a strong, magnificent creature. Overjoyed, the son ran to his father. "Father, our horse is back, and it's brought another one." The villagers gathered, astonished. "What incredible luck!" they exclaimed. "Now you have 2 horses instead of 1. You're luckier than ever." But the farmer, as calm as always, simply smiled and said, "Maybe." The villagers were confused again. How could he not be excited about this amazing turn of events? A few days later, the farmer's son decided to tame the wild stallion. He was eager to turn this gift into something useful for their farm. He spent hours trying to train the horse, determined to succeed. But the stallion was strong-willed and difficult to control. One afternoon, while attempting to ride it, the son was thrown off its back. He crashed to the ground with a painful crack. His leg was broken. Hearing his cries, the farmer rushed to his side. The villagers soon gathered, shaking their heads. "What a terrible tragedy," they said. "Now your son is injured. He won't be able to help on the farm for months. Just when things were looking up, this happens. Such bad luck." The farmer, tending to his son's injury, simply replied, "Maybe." Once again, the villagers were bewildered. How could he be so calm when his son was hurt? Weeks passed. The farmer's son remained bedridden, slowly recovering. The villagers still felt sorry for the farmer, believing he had suffered great misfortune. Then, one day, soldiers rode into the village. There was unrest in the kingdom, and the army was drafting all able-bodied young men for war. The villagers were terrified. Their sons were taken away to fight in a distant and dangerous battle. Families wept as they watched their loved ones leave, unsure if they would ever return. But when the soldiers reached the farmer's house, they saw his son's broken leg and declared him unfit for service. He was left behind, spared from the horrors of war. The villagers now looked at the farmer in awe. "What incredible luck," they said. "Because of his injury, your son is safe, while ours are going off to war. Truly, everything happens for a reason." The farmer listened to their words, smiled softly, and said, "Maybe." By now, the villagers had begun to understand. The farmer saw the world differently than they did. He didn't rush to label events as good or bad. Instead, he accepted life as it unfolded, knowing that fortune and misfortune were often 2 sides of the same coin. Over time, his wisdom spread throughout the village. People stopped reacting to every event with panic or excitement. Instead, they learned to embrace life's ups and downs with patience and acceptance. The story of the wise farmer and his simple word, "maybe," became a lasting lesson for all who heard it. It taught them that life is full of twists and turns, and sometimes what seems like misfortune can lead to unexpected blessings. And so they learned to trust the journey, to live with an open heart, and to understand that everything happens in its own time, for its own reason.